Hello and welcome to Dark and Stormy Book Club. It's what we're reading again, and this is a special one. Enjoy.
I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Welcome to a very special Dark and Stormy Book Club. All four of us are here together and we are celebrating our 5th Podiversary.
I love it.
5 years old today.
I can't believe it's 5 years.
I can't either. It's been quite a ride.
We started out with just an idea. There was 2 of us, and then Kathy joined us. And now we have the fabulous Misty with us.
Yep.
And we just are thrilled that we're still able to do this.
That's right. We didn't know what we were doing 5 years ago. We're not much better at that now, but we are a little bit.
I think that it's okay to let people know that, because expectation then can be soared right past. Maybe they don't know so much and they're like, oh, no, but that was fabulous, even without all of them. There you go.
And once again, since this is a what we're reading, we will be doing a video recording for our lovely patrons.
Yes.
And I think they really enjoyed it last time. So, like I said, we don't edit these. So you get what you get.
So if Tracy's hair slips at some point,
Yep, you never know.
Don't mention it.
Look.
Just, let it go. And if the northern lights start snowing over Kathy, just be okay with that.
If her hair falls off, which is
And I can't figure out how to turn that flower off, so you're just going to have to deal with it.
There you go. I mean, it just adds a little extra to the celebration, right? I mean, this is what we're here for. That is very exciting, though. 5 years, that's a big milestone. A lot of podcasts kind of peter out, or the enthusiasm for the at the beginning.
Actually, 80% don't make it past their first 10 episodes.
Wow.
80%. And what's funny is if you go into any podcast provider, I'll see that's something I want to listen to.
it's gone.
They stopped recording back in 2020.
Oh. You guys,
and I don't know why they're still on there, but I guess they have
stay forever, I guess.
Yeah.
But as a way of commemorating our first year in 2018, we have decided to go back and do a What We're Reading featuring authors that we met during our first year. Maybe we'll be a little better at it than we were back then. We were pretty awful back then.
No, I've gone back and listened to old ones and they are not awful. You can hear your enthusiasm about what you're doing. And that's one of the best things about podcasting. You can have everything be perfect. And if you put me to sleep and that was not your intention, that's an issue. I never felt like any of those with your podcast. You just sounded very excited about what you were doing. It was one of the things that I loved. And then when you guys offered to let me come in, I was like, oh no, what if I don't stack up? I'll seriously, because I was like, they have this down and it's been awesome since day one. And you guys do continue to learn and enhance. Absolutely.
You're such a good liar.
I know. Hey, don't I do that for a living?
Remind me to send you that check for that.
Okay. I have an invoice. I'll mail it out.
Okay. Well, the first we're going to do is Kathy. She is going to report on one of our earliest books.
Yes. This was actually the very first episode that I appeared in. I did not realize that.
Oh,
Oh, isn't that
Yes.
funny?
Yes.
That's fun.
So when
And
you picked this person, you didn't know that.
no, I didn't realize.
Kismet.
But I was trying to be very mysterious when I said hello when you introduced me, and it just came off as being very weird.
That's okay, because even 3 episodes later, they're like, okay, 1, 2, and I'm like, wait, what word am I supposed to say? It's bye, Misty. It's bye. And I'm like, no,
Okay.
it has to be something else. So don't even worry
Yeah,
about it.
I did remember bye. So,
Well, good for
so
you.
there's that.
You know, that's been probably the most challenging thing we've done on this show is getting that by
Getting
right.
that by.
Anyway, that was on June 9th in 2018. The author was Jana DeLeon. We'll go with that. We did a full review on her first book in the series, Miss Fortune. Miss M-I-S-S. Fortune.
Oh,
See what she
snappy.
did there? Okay.
I do see what she did there.
And that was called Louisiana Longshot. And that was episode 8, if you want to go back and listen to me be very weird.
We'll absolutely do that.
But it was a great episode. We did full reviews at the time, and we were doing A to Z authors, so she was our D author, and I really enjoyed that book. It's a cozy, and it was just so much fun. So I was like, I want to go back and see how she's doing with that. I was not able to get the latest in the series, but I got number 22. She's up to
Wow.
24.
Wow.
So she's just popping along. And this one was called Flame and Fortune. And I
love
believe
it.
it was self-published because I couldn't find a publisher. It's available on Amazon. And that was published March of 2022. So since we first visited Fortune Redding in Louisiana Longshot, she's settled in Sinful, Louisiana. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to read to you the beginning of the book because she does a little synopsis in case you haven't read the previous books. If you've never read a misfortune mystery, you can start with Louisiana Longshot, the first book in the series. If you prefer to start with this book, here are a few things you need to know. Fortune Redding is a CIA assassin with a price on her head from one of the world's most deadly arms dealers. Because her boss suspects that a leak at the CIA blew her cover, he sends her to hide out in Sinful, Louisiana. Posing as his niece, a librarian and ex-beauty queen named Sandy Sue Morrow. The situation was resolved in Change of Fortune. And Fortune is now a full-time resident of Sinful and has opened her own detective agency. So that's where we're at. And she no longer goes by Sandy Sue or whatever her name was. She's out. Everybody knows she is Fortune Redding, and they know.
Doesn't she have, because didn't she get her house from an aunt or something, or that was her ruse? That
was her ruse. It was
Yeah.
her boss in the CIA had an aunt in Louisiana.
Yeah,
It was
I remember that book. Yeah.
So that's how she got in. As after the aunt died, she was going in to take care of the estate.
Yeah.
So that was her undercover. It's all out in the open now. So she's settled in. She's staying there. She's no longer in the CIA, and she's put out her shingle as a private investigator. So she's made friends and some enemies, and she is in a relationship with the local sheriff's deputy, Carter LeBlanc.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's New Year's Eve, and Sinful celebrates with a parade, as any self-respecting town in Louisiana should. Fortune is roped into competing to be the New Year's Eve queen, and her rival is a prodigal daughter of Sinful, R.J. Rogers. RJ and her boyfriend, Brock Benoit, lit out of Sinful as soon as they graduated from high school. They left to make it big on the Nashville music circuit. But things did not turn out the way they had hoped. Neither RJ nor Brock were well liked, so the town is not exactly rolling out the welcome mat when they come back. When Brock turns up dead the day after the parade, there are quite a few suspects among the citizens of Sinful, as well as a mysterious man who seemed to have followed either Brock or RJ to town. Fortune gets involved because she doesn't want to see innocent townspeople railroaded into jail. Unfortunately, evidence does seem to indicate that one of them is the guilty party. So that's the book in a nutshell. And this was another fun romp through the Louisiana Bayou with lots of slapstick comedy that seems to follow Fortune and her friends around. One of the things that Ian said in the original episode was that it reminded her of I Love Lucy, with all the pratfalls and things that Lucy went through. And that nails it to a T. If this was a sitcom, that would be the type of sitcom it would be. One's got its suspends one's disbelief for some of the action, like when a septuagenarian is swinging around a stripper pole and she falls.
Oh, I just got the visual.
Into that book.
As you do.
I just got a visual.
Yeah, exactly. That's what this book was very good at, describing these just outrageous situations, and you could just picture it and you're laughing hysterically. But she falls and she doesn't have any serious injury. So, and this was caused by a calamity with a drunken cat.
Oh, okay.
So
As you will, as you will.
Yeah, as you will. Of course, drunken cat's going to cause trouble. So while this was not a very long book, it was only 285 pages. The narrative flowed seamlessly without extra baggage. It does seem that a reader would want to read the series from the beginning, as there are mentions of people and occurrences that the writer assumes is already known. Even though she did that synopsis in the beginning, there were people and it was like, oh, this one and that one. And I'm like, I have no idea who this is.
When we read that series, was that the first?
That was the first in the series.
Louisiana
Wow, she's written
Longshot.
that many books, and
No, she had 11 books at the time. When we first started, we wanted to read the first of everyone's series. And then we realized that's not what authors want us to do. They want us to read the most current.
The latest book.
Yeah. So
now she does publish those on her own.
yes.
yeah. I know it's a good book because I remember it. And you go back 5 years, I couldn't tell you half of what we read on the show, but I remember that book.
Awesome.
And that's why I went back to it, because I did remember. I remember that it was a lot of fun. So go back and read from the beginning. I can think of worse things to do than going back and reading a fun story to catch up, on Miss Fortune's antics. So, I think I might go back and read other 25. I don't know.
Reads, I'm sure.
It looks like there's 24 total. So
24
you just
total.
read
Okay.
This one, and you can remember the
I've
first one.
read 22.
Matching puts us at 22 books.
They're good
So,
summer reads.
Good
Beach reads. Yeah.
We like beach reads.
She also has several other series and standalones in her repertoire. Find out more about her and her books at janadeleon.com. That's JANADELEON.com.
Awesome.
Very good, Kathy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm up next, and I'm staying in Louisiana. Because after we had Jana DeLeon's book on episode 8, on episode 9 is the book I'm going to report on, and that is Michael H. Rubin. He is only the second author that we interviewed. The first one we interviewed was Lauren Carr for her books. Michael reached out to us, and he had a book called The Cotton Crest Curse. And that was really a good spooky book from the 1800s up to present time, and spooky things that happened in this plantation in Louisiana. Well, Michael has come back with a new book called A White Hot Plan. It is published by Louisiana State University Press. It was excellently written. It was very well done. The subject matter made me cringe because it's a group of alt-right terrorists.
Oh,
They decide that the time is right and New Orleans is the place to make an explosive statement that will force the world to acknowledge the superiority of the white supremacist movement.
Ow.
So you can see where this book's going.
Yeah.
And in parts, it was a little difficult to read, but there's always a hero. And the hero is Stamer Gutreaux, I believe you pronounce it, Gautreaux. He was a New Orleans homicide detective, and he was devastated and still is devastated when his wife and little boy were killed when their home was flooded in Hurricane Katrina, and he couldn't get there in time to save them. But he has come to Petit Rouge Parish in Louisiana, and he is kind of laying low. He was kicked off the New Orleans police force because he testified against two crooked cops and it wouldn't cover up. So he was kicked out and banished. So the sheriff in Petit Rouge is named Naquin Knock Mouton. And he is the sheriff, and he runs the town with an iron fist. And he's dying. He has an undisclosed, they don't say what he's dying of, but he's still running the show. He's not going to allow things to get out of hand because he's getting kickbacks from all these judges and people that he's in cahoots with. Stamer, he's just doing the routine. He writes tickets, he stops speeders, routine stuff. He's not really living. He's just a big, sad mess of a man. Until he's doing his rounds and he sees a huge truck way off the road, like a 18-wheeler. So he goes to see what happened. He figures the truck went out of control. Well, just as he gets to it, the truck explodes and the driver is killed, and he is almost killed because the blast that
wow.
Well, he goes to report to Knox that this thing has happened, and Knox says, "Oh, it was the accident." The coroner's like, he doesn't know a dead body from a carrot, but everything's an accident. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. Well, Stamer's trying to get them to investigate this. The story is told from two perspectives. You have Stamer's perspective, where he's trying to do the best he can. He's so depressed. He's so doesn't want to be there. But then you have the perspective of Al Brady. And Al Brady is the commander of the white supremacist unit.
Ooh.
And they have this big plan in place. They're loading a school bus with all kinds of explosives, and the children in the parish are going to New Orleans on a field trip to sing in a unity gathering in New Orleans. So this is where the white supremacists, they're going to blow everybody up.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the thing about Al Brady, he's married to a black woman and has a black daughter. So let everybody think he's such a great guy, but he's planning all this stuff.
That's just wild. That
Yeah,
just
that's
gives you pause that you can. I am always fascinated, not in a good way, but I'm always
Yeah, I get what
fascinated
you're saying.
by someone who could live two lives like that. Those are two very different
They're
lives.
completely the end of the poles. I mean, they're
Yeah, well, and I can't imagine truly thinking that you're superior to anyone.
But
I mean,
there's
obviously
people
do.
like that.
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's another one of those fascinating things because I'm like, part of me wants to sit down and have coffee and just say, explain to me how this makes sense in your head. And the other part of me says, I do not want to give your story any more spotlight.
Well, that's
wasting my
Oxygen.
air.
Yes,
That's why I'm saying in parts it was very difficult to read this.
no doubt. No doubt.
But some of the characters are very, very well done.
Other than the difficult parts, I know he's a good writer. I remember his book from before. What did you think of the book in general?
The book in general was excellent. I loved the ending because it opens it up for a next book. I want to read the second book.
All right. We'll have to email and say, excuse me, what are you doing? Because the next one has to come out and we'd like to know when.
Now, who publishes his books?
Louisiana State University.
Oh,
That's right.
interesting.
And it says, although the acknowledged author of these novels is Michael H. Rubin, the books are, in fact, the result of a long-time collaborative effort of the husband and wife writing team of Mike and Ayan Rubin.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That's right.
His wife, they collaborate. And I don't know how she wrote some of these things that were up here, but
We have to, sometimes it's a necessary evil to
Yes.
hear of the atrocities. And
I know, because you don't learn from them unless you.
Well, and
unless
I think, especially for the people who had to live through that, I feel like they are worth listening to and they're worth hearing their story, no matter how difficult it can be to try to reconcile how someone on the one side thinks that to be able to do something that horrendous, the people on the other side who had to survive and thrive through that, they also should get their story told. And it sounds like maybe that's something that happened in there. More power to him. I mean, I don't mind reading that. I do struggle with writing anything like that because I'm like, yeah, I just can't be that brutal. I can't, even if it's true, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I very much.
you mean Misty doesn't have a dark side?
Oh no, she does.
Yes,
It's pretty shady in there. I'm not gonna lie, but it's writing really mean things is hard for me. I've tried writing a thriller before, and I'm like, no, I don't want to shoot. And one of the things I love most about Cozy Mysteries is that the death happens off screen. So even if it's like horrendous, I don't have to squelch through anything to get to the body. You know what I mean? Well, and it can be a dark place also because, as an author, if anyone is narrating in your story, you are in their head in some aspect. And
Yep.
I don't know that I would be able to survive in someone's head like that because that person, as horrible as they are, they do think that they're the hero of the story. They're the hero of the story. And so you can't write them as this despicable man because he doesn't think that he's despicable.
He's a pillar of the community. He's
so Anne took one for the team is what it comes down to because
this book is very, very well done. They've had about 6 books, but this book spoke to me because of the cotton crest.
That was very good.
That was a very good book. And they refer to that plantation 4 times in the book. So it's right in that area where that took place.
That's cool.
I highly recommend it.
It's not a beach read.
No, not. That's like a dark winter night in front of the fireplace read.
Yeah.
How would you describe it? Was it a thriller or a police procedural or?
I would put it in the category of a thriller. It wasn't a police procedural because poor guy tried, but he couldn't do anything.
And does it take place? I apologize if you said this. Does it take place in today's time?
It's in this,
Contemporaneous.
Yes.
Contemporaneous. Yeah.
It was a hard book to read, but it was very, very good. So,
Awesome.
Michael, bring out the next.
Good job, Mike. Keep them coming.
And would like the next one right now.
We're going to stop this at the halfway mark because it's getting a little bit long, and we will publish the part 2 for books that Tracy and Misty have read, and we will publish those tomorrow, so be sure and tune in then. Bye.